Mistake number six, and this particular mistake ties into some of the things that I said in the previous mistake, and it is specifically you are not managing your activities or your time. So scheduling is a big part of managing your activities or your time. So when you don't manage your time, which means you are not measuring where your time is going, therefore there are time or hours that are being wasted unawares that you're unaware to, you end up not setting aside or allocating enough study time, enough time for assignments, enough time for preparing for exams, and then it's either you do things last minute and you don't get the amount of time needed to help you process, understand, apply the information, so you are unprepared in the exam, which leads to failure. So once you prioritize your activities, you plan your activities, you give them enough time each week, you will be able to see better results. In fact, I want to just plug in my story, miss a little bit here. When I was like in primary school, I never used to like to study. I dislike studying. And as a result, guess what? I used to fail. And that's the same thing I'm trying to say. If you don't study, you're gonna end up failing, right? Or if you don't study enough, you might get borderline pass, or you might just end up failing. And this is just the reality. And I used to fail, fail, fail. Eventually, my grandmother prayed for me. God helped me to kind of change my attitude. She hired her son, one of my uncles, to teach me and my sister. And then there was that improvement. It was maths because he is or was a maths teacher, and my maths grade would have keep increasing, and I would have been putting in a little bit of work, right? I wasn't putting it all the amount of work, so my grade was gradually increasing. I went from a total failure of F to when I reached in standard five to what was it? Was that B? Right? And I got an award for the most improved student. Then when I moved on to secondary school, my maths grade keep improving until I started to get 100. That's 100 maths. And other subjects I was doing pretty fine. And it went to the point till I reached first place in class when I was in Form 4, I believe. A little bit here. Last term in Form 4, the first term in Form 5, I was first in class, first time in my life. And then when I graduated, I wrote the CSEC examination and graduated. I will have gotten two distinctions, one in mathematics, one in principles of accounts, because my uncle taught me those two, and the others I passed them. But the others I had to put in my own studies. But I thought to myself, if I had a lessons teacher, I would have definitely, who knew what they're doing in all my subjects, I would have gotten all distinctions. Because I don't know if now's the right time to say this, but the school system, the educational school system is a mess. And sometimes parents think that their children are being taught everything that they need to know about their studies, but it's not being so. So when they go into the exams, they're unprepared or not prepared enough. And then worse than the students are not even putting in the work. All right. So that was one part of my success. And then I did A levels, and that's another story by itself. Right? But fast forward to when I went into college is where I eventually realized I was 23 when I started college a couple of years back. And I realized that I had to become self dependent, or in the sense of independent in my studies. I still been for the first, so I kind of depend on others to keep pushing me to study. When I was younger, that was the case. I had to depend on my uncle, I had to depend on my mother and my father, my grandmother, tell me study your work, study your work, study your work. But when I was in my early 20s, I started my college education. I knew what goal I wanted. And that's why I was talking about goals before. I knew what goal I wanted. I was clear on the goal. I was like, I want to graduate with honors. Honors is distinctions, right? And I knew which distinction I wanted. As time went along, different things happened. I made adjustments. I kind of changed around, but I still was like, I need honors regardless, right? And I, praise the Lord, I made adjustments. I started scheduling, I started planning, I started to take my activities serious. I started to do all kind of different things. I was able to accomplish more, plus graduate with distinctions while running a business. So when I tell you all, and this is something I recently, some of the things I recently did a workshop with my students from Beyond Top Succeeders Academy and taught them how um to prioritize, schedule, to get the most out of your day, your week, the month in order to get that pass grade or goal that they themselves desire. So